One final call in for Johnny Walker. Is it working?
Hello?
Hello, no, you're here. Yeah, you're here. The stream's going in the background. If you can just turn that off because I can hear myself again.
Okay, gotcha.
Fantastic.
So I just got a quick question. I was wondering, you're Swedish, you said?
Yep.
Okay, what are your pronouns?
They, them, or he, him.
Okay. And just curious, you don't have to answer if you want. You interested in females or males?
I generally, I would say I'm more attracted to like feminine presentation.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the rise in crime in Western Europe? France, Sweden, Germany, these different places that took in millions of people from the third world, Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa, all these different places. What are your thoughts on the rise in crime? Do you feel any responsibility for advocating for this mass immigration? And then the effect is rising crime, rape, murder, assault, theft, all of the above. Do you feel any responsibility towards that?
No, I personally, as a 16-year-old from Sweden, do not feel any responsibility for it. Additionally, this fact that there's been millions of immigrants coming in isn't true. Even like Sweden hasn't taken in anywhere near like millions. I think it's just like a couple 100,000. We have had, the right-wing parties eliminating systems of integration and general social structures. We're taking them in here from wars that were in large part created by, interest in our Western nations. Additionally, there will be economic benefits for immigration for these receiving nations. And additionally, the demographics that we see developing right now in Sweden and other Western nations will be unsustainable when it comes to taking care of the elderly, for example, if we don't take in immigrants.
So there's no accountability regards to the left-wing politicians who took in all these migrants. They took them in anyways. The crime has went up tenfold.
That's not true.
Murder, yes, the crime rate has went up tenfold. You can look it up, it's a fact. Ever since the migrant crisis and migrants have infiltrated into Sweden, Germany, and France, the crime has gone up a very much lot. This is just a fact.
Okay.
You can get your statistics from some left.
Where do you get yours from? Where do you get yours from?
Swedish government crime statistics. Google Swedish government crime statistics comes up. So, what if the migrants don't want to integrate? What if they don't believe in homosexuality? What if they don't believe in human rights? What if they choose not to integrate? They don't believe in your progressive values. What do you say to that? If you look off their religion, it goes against everything you stand for regarding homosexuality, women's rights.
Yep.
So, do you think their religion is wrong? Do you feel like Christian and Islamic religion is wrong?
Yeah, sure. I don't like any religion, but I don't see what this has to do. We've gone so far. Do you know where you started this conversation? You started this conversation talking about, the vast crime rates, and now we've moved towards, well, what if these people bring bad values?
That's why I'm talking about immigration and the people who are coming into your country and all over Western Europe, and the values they bring. And the values they bring is Islam. They believe in Islamic values. So their values completely go against.
I have a question. Values. What percentage of Europe do you think will be Muslim by the year 2050? It's going to be 10%. And that's assuming that current data trends in immigration and in religion continues today. But that will probably not be the case because we will probably not take in as many immigrants in the future. And it seems that, immigrants, especially second and third generation immigrants, become more secular the longer they stay in our Western nations.
Okay, I'm asking you about their Islamic values. Do you agree with them or not?
Nope.
Do you feel like they have a right to believe what they want. They can come here. They can impose their values.
Imposing their
say,
values? What do you
"No,
mean
we
by
don't."
imposing their values?
If they want to come here and they say, "No, I don't believe in gay marriage. No, I don't believe women should be in positions of power in the government." Different policies like that. Do you think they have the right to come here and do that?
No, I don't think they should pass those policies, but it doesn't seem like there's any meaningful political movement towards passing policies like those. It just seems like it's some right-wing boogeyman that people keep thinking about that is going to happen, but it doesn't really happen.
Can you name me a Middle Eastern country that allows gay marriage, for example?
Can you name me one Western country where this massive, immigrant hordes are pushing for the policies that exist in these Middle Eastern countries you talk about?
Well, these Middle Eastern countries don't allow gay marriage. So if they come here, I mean, that represents their values. As a collective, they come from countries that don't allow gay marriage. So if you get enough of them, they come to Western Europe, they're going to have those same belief systems, and it's only progressives like you that's going to stop them.
If the right-wing policies and the right-wing parties had not developed structures that make it harder for these people to integrate, it would be way less likely for them to, keep holding these opinions, because when they get integrated, chances are they're going to be affected by the other social changes and the other social attitudes and beliefs we have, and that they will change their opinions based on that. And this is demonstrated in the political opinions of second and third generation immigrants, for example.
Are you ethnically Swedish?
Yes.
Or are you Jewish?
Oh, got it. No, I'm not Jewish, my guy. I knew this was gonna come. See, this is what happens. You hide behind this veneer. You hide behind the veneer of actually having reasonable positions, and then it goes down into moon logic and Jewish
My follow-up to that.
ideology.
My follow-up to that. Do you believe Sweden should be majority Swedish? Or what if it just became 90% Afghan, for example? Do you think that's okay, or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't care.
Swedish people don't what it means to be Swedish. You can do a DNA test and it shows up to your Swedish ancestry. That's what it means to be Swedish. I'm talking about Swedish blood. What makes a person Swedish is the blood that runs through them. That's what a Swede is.
And what way does having Swedish blood affect a person? What effects does that have on a person?
What effects does it have on a person?
Yeah, so what's the difference between...
It affects them the way they look.
The way they look. And what way...
The way they feel around other ethnic Swedes.
I want
studies around... They've did studies regarding... different studies regarding how Swedes feel around different Swedes versus how they feel around people that are different ethnicity, and they always feel more comfortable around other Swedish people. So you think that has anything to do with DNA?
Nope.
Or do you think it has to do with something else?
It has to do with social attitudes and socioeconomics, like most things. So, for example, is he picking up a phone call? Oh no, guys, it's the Soros.
What?
They got him. Okay, are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it has nothing to do with any biology. Some more interesting research suggests that, when people spend more time around ethnic minorities, what ends up happening is they end up, developing more trust towards these people. They end up developing more sense of identification with humanity as a whole. There's a whole load of positive consequences that come with social cohesion if people are allowed to, engage with each other in a diverse way. No, Swedes are segregated today because we have massive issues with systemic discrimination and housing.
You don't think that people naturally want to be with their own people? You don't think it has nothing to do with that? It just all has to do with systemic racism.
If that was the case, then why are people more chill with ethnic minorities the more time they spend with them?
For example, in America, when groups of African Americans come into a Latino neighborhood, Latinos move out. What do you say to that?
I don't know where one hypothetical example you provided with zero data has to do with the overall academic consensus on social cohesion and social integration.
Well, the social integration in America is not working because there's so many different neighborhoods, and the majority are segregated. You got Hispanics.
Because of systemic racism and discrimination. Yes, I agree with you.
So Latinos are racist against African Americans?
No, but there's different levels of systemic racism. Some that affects, African Americans, some that affects Hispanics. And the way these may interact and manifest itself can be in a whole range of different ways. But the way to solve it is not by sectioning people off, but by bringing people together, ensuring that you have an equal opportunity to live and work with whatever and wherever you'd like. And therefore, we would see a society where we would have more diversity, more social cohesion, more identification with humanity rather than silly ethnic groups.
There's countless examples of this, and the reason for this, you say, is systematic racism and gentrification. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about. You're obviously just a left-wing communist, and the fact that you are defending communist beliefs shows you have no idea what you're talking about. As a Polish American, I know the suffering of communism. 100 million people in Eastern Europe.
Can you do me a favor, real quick? Can you just define communism to me, just real quick? Just like one sentence definition of communism.
The Soviet Union.
That's an example. That's not a definition. Give me a definition. Come on.
Give you a definition?
Yeah, just a definition. Real easy.
Soviet Union was a
That's an example. That's not a definition. Can I have a definition? What makes a society communist? Yeah, what makes a society communist?
The fact that they label themselves communist.
So that's what makes. So if
call themselves.
So hold on. If the United States tomorrow just like rebranded and called themselves the Communist States of America, would that make them communist?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So North Korea is democratic then, yes? They're called the Democratic Republic of North Korea. Oh, look, can I answer the question? Is North Korea democratic?
North Korea is a democratic state, correct?
It is a democratic state.
Yes. Basically, communism is the idea that there's an oppressed and oppressor. And the goal of communism is to divide and conquer. They like to pit the oppressed versus the oppressor. They make up these different things like, systematic racism and, economic disparity. And what they do is they pit the minority versus the majority, and that's what you have.
So whenever you talk about oppression, it's communist.
I didn't say that. I just said, for example, you have communist beliefs, and I've seen you defend communism.
But you can't define communism.
I just defined it.
That's not a definition. Like, oppression, talking about oppression is not a definition for something. So what like communist literature have you like engaged with to get that this is the definition of communism?
Marxist ideology is a communist philosophy.
So like if there were like, so what makes a government communist? What like key traits makes a government communist?
Basically whatever you believe.
Whatever I believe. I am communism. Have I become communism? Am I the bastion of communism?
Your socialist ideas, those are communist. Your different social plans that you should enforce, that's communism. The different Marxist ideology you push regarding race.
Can you define Marxism for me real quick?
That's Marxism. Your beliefs about homosexuality.
Can you define Marxism to me real quick?
Marxism is pushing transgenderism.
Marxism is pushing transgenderism.
Yes, it is, because it goes against everything that is good and holy. To demoralize the country. It's Marxism.
Are you a troll?
Are you a little soy boy?
Ah, good one, buddy. That's a mega ban on that one. Whoops! Jesus Christ.